Okay guys, welcome everybody. Today we will be talking about the perfect tenses. Actually, tenses are used to express actions in time, whether they happen in the future, in the present, or in the past, and also to situate an action in relation to another one, maybe before a past action, before the present, or before a future time. Now, let's look at some examples to understand how we use the tenses. But the first one, we have this example. Look, the principal has already closed the gate. Wow, bad luck. So we arrive at school, and we discover that the gate has been closed, and the principal certainly has already closed the gate because we were too late. Okay. Second one says, when we arrived at school yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, the principal had already closed the gate. So, here we have two actions, one in the past, we arrived at school yesterday, and one before this action, which is the principal had already closed the gate. Good. And the last one, we are in the morning, so we are just having in mind a time in the future and something that will have been completed before this time. We have by 10 past 12 or 12:10, most of our classmates will have left school. So the time in the future is 10 past 12, and of course there will be nobody at school because they will have left school. Right. Well, now let's see how we can simplify these examples. The first one says, look, the principal has already shut the gate. It's an action that happened before the present time. It's before the present. So here we have the diagrams. The second one says, when we arrived, this is the present, when we arrived at school yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, the principal had already closed the gate. So, to close the gate is before we arrived. So it's past, before the past action. And the third diagram shows that we are in the present and we have a time in the future, 10 past 12. And our classmates will have left the school. This should have happened or will have happened before 10 past 12. Before 10 past 12, which is a future time. Well, now let's see with the words that we generally use to express those tenses. For the present, for the tense to express an action before the present, we generally use already. He has already shut, or yet. In the negative, he hasn't shut the gate yet, or just. He has just closed the gate. Now, to express an action which is before the past action, we have when, or after, or before. We have an example. When we arrived at school at 8 a.m. yesterday morning, the principal had closed the gate. Or we arrived at school at 8 a.m. yesterday morning after the principal had closed the gate. Or the principal had closed the gate before we arrived at school yesterday morning at 8 o'clock. Good. For the last example, to express something that happens or that will have happened before a future time, generally we use by plus a future time. A future time. That is, by next Tuesday, by next weekend, by next week, or by next month, like next year, or by sunrise, by sunset, and so on and so on. Something or some time in the future. Good. Now, the tenses. The tenses. Right. This tense expresses an action before the present. This one expresses a time or a tense before the past. And finally, the last one expresses an action which is or which will have happened before a future time, the future. Good. Now, what are the tenses we use for these three examples or those three situations? Now, let's set, for example, perfect. Perfect means before. So, if we want to express an action before the present, we use the present perfect. If we want to use or to express an action before a past action, we use the past perfect. And if we want to express an action that will have happened before a future time, we use the future perfect. Well, it's interesting now to look at how we could use these tenses. You might notice that all the three tenses use the past participle. Past participle, sorry. Past participle. Past participle. Past participle. Good. Now, what expresses the tense actually? What expresses the tense is very simple. It's the auxiliary have. In the present perfect, the auxiliary is in the present. For the past, the principle had closed, so had is in the past. And for the last example, most of our classmates will have left. So the auxiliary is in the future, will have, plus past participle. Okay, guys, now I think after this lesson, we can easily do some quizzes. So please connect and click on the link at the bottom of the video. And good luck.